Welcome to All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian fishing podcast hosted by Rhodey and Diz. The boys will share their tall tales of the one that got away, as well as some regular segments they know all you fishing tragics will enjoy.
G'day guys and welcome to episode 136 of All the Gear But No Idea, the South Australian Fishing Podcast. Geez, that's good to crack a beer with you, Rhodey.
Couple of Coopers, mild ale, supporting the locals, Diz.
Love a Maldi, and this is going to be a great episode, Rhodey. We've got Shimano's Josh Carpenter, product manager. It's going to be epic to have a chat with him later on. He's been with the company for quite some time, got some great stories of some of the fishing he's been up to. It's going to be a good chat.
Dizzy, he's a great contact to have, and he knows anything that's worth knowing about any of their gear. He's the guru.
Good call. He is across their latest and greatest, as well as all of the tech that goes into their wonderful gear, most notably some of their reels, and we'll have a chat with him about that a little bit later on. Rhodey, let's get into oranges and lemons. My orange from the top is going to be, we went away for the weekend. Saturday, it was gloomy, it was wet, it was overcast, there was plenty of rain, and all I could think of was I'm sure that there are a lot of farmers that are overjoyed by the fact that there was a bit of juice coming out of the sky.
Yeah, their crops are going to start popping now, Diz.
Oh, geez, I hope so. I mean, I'm sure it's going to take a little bit more than that.
I think there's a lot of rain forecast this weekend.
Okay. So
maybe Sunday.
It's on the way. Is that
and
what
do you know
saying?
what else is forecast on Sunday? A lot of wind.
Oh.
You know what we're hoping? This could have been my orange. I didn't think of it. Let's hope this big old storm front comes through and breaks up this algal bloom.
Oh, good call. Yes.
We need a blow. We need some bad weather, and I think it's coming.
Okay, good idea.
That'd be a first for the podcast. If we get like a real hell of a storm, like I'm talking borderline hurricane winds,
and we put it in
waves,
the orange
and
segment.
that could be the orange that it breaks up this goddamn algae that won't go away.
Yeah, we're not. We don't mind talking a bit of weather chat in the oranges and lemons, so not bad. Rhodey, what's your orange?
Dizzy, what did I sit down to for dinner tonight? Garfish.
Oh, yum.
Crumbed garfish. That was really, really good.
Good.
Underrated. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we went dabbing over Easter, but I took one of the packs out of the freezer, and it's good eating. Underrated. We eat
Tasty.
too much whiting. We should eat more garfish.
Yeah, right.
We just need to get good at filleting it. Really good.
Yeah, I know. We need to double down on that and practice a bit more.
Yeah.
Get another feed of them again. Get into them again.
I think we should find a metro. I think that gives us another string to our bow.
Yeah, good call. Don't mind that. Good call. All right, Rhodey, let's roll that into a lemon. And mine's going to be that really not a lot of fish.
No one's getting any fish.
We've been talking to a number of people, and look, us not catching fish is sort of, I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there.
Hold on, us. I haven't been, so you got
like,
nothing?
yeah. Tell me something we don't know, guys. But we didn't do that well when we got garfish. We tried for whiting. We only got
that was Easter, mate. That was weeks ago.
Yeah, but
you went on the weekend and got donuts.
Yeah, it was no good. But there's been quite a few people that have been saying, no, they're thin reports.
So I've got two theories. Do you think it is the algal bloom?
I don't know.
Or do you think it's between seasons, sort of, going from summer to winter? It hasn't got really cold to bring like the winter whiting in. I don't know. Could be a bit of A, bit of B.
Could be. I mean, I think some of the real guru fishing people are still doing well. Like Balgowan Fishing Charters still putting up a lot of good catches. So.
That's the other Gulf too, though. Less algae, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Fair point. The water was noticeably a different colour. Lot of
and this was Yorks you were fishing?
Yeah, and we'll talk a bit more about some of the stuff that we observed that indicates the algal bloom is a long way up the Gulf. But, yeah, the water was a colour, an interesting colour. Some people who we were talking to over there said they've never seen the water that colour. So it's quite distressing. What's your lemon?
Diz. So I've had a bit of plantar fasciitis in the background, really sort of impacting on my running the last sort of couple of months.
This isn't a physio podcast, so you might want to tell people what that actually is.
So, sole of your foot getting sore when you're running, basically. So anyway, that's been doing my head in a bit. I've been really getting into the Voltaren and the ice packs, whatever else.
Softitis.
Trying to get nice and strong in my feet and my calves. So what do? You do calf raises.
Okay.
So what did I do? I did a calf raise and I popped a bloody calf. And do you know who pops calves? Old people.
Yeah, you are old.
It's an old people's injury.
How much grief have you been getting from like some older people? Like I imagine Pete would have got stuck.
Oh, yeah. Dad laughed at me and he said, oh, yeah, it's an old person's injury, isn't it?
Oh, gosh.
Dad thought he was real funny.
Yeah, that's gold. That's gold. So
Anyway,
you've been sort of limping around, have you?
Mate, I'm back walking well. I hobbled for a few
walking?
days, but I'm walking well. I'm not running, but I'm walking well.
Yeah, righto. Nice. Oh, well, nice little update on your injury status. Rhodey, what do we got? Have we still got any beanies?
Yes, we should plug the beanies again. We have got a few left from last winter, but we should do another order if they're going to sell.
I think we've had that
And it's
cold snap.
It's coming into beanie weather. It's probably beanie weather's here.
Yeah, it's cold in the mornings. We had a couple of frosty ones the last few days.
We have, Diz. It's certainly been that sort of beanie weather, so we will get onto them. What else we should get onto, Diz, is a bit of social media chat. Now, we were talking about the Algal Bloom, and you were over on Yorks, and we put up a little video, Black Point Beach, hundreds and hundreds of baby cuttlefish, you said.
Yeah.
Do you know what, actually, don't mean to jump in here, Diz. Do you know what the remnants of a cuttlefish that you find washed up on the beach are called?
No.
It's called a cuttlebone.
Cuttlebone, there you go. Yeah, well, we saw thousands of cuttlebones in that case then. And look, I reckon most beaches you walk across, you'll see a cuttlebone here and there, won't you? And normally you see maybe like a bigger one, don't you? You know, sort of reasonable size. I'd say 10 to 20 centimetres might be around about the average size you'd see. What was astonishing was the amount of small ones.
Yeah.
Thousands of really, really small ones, less than 5 centimetres, you know, maybe some pushing 5 to 10, but just heaps of them. And, that really indicated to me one thing amongst other people putting up some photos and seeing a lot of other, unfortunately, dead skate and, you know, some PJ sharks and some of that sort of stuff, a lot of dead fish. And that's a common scene amongst people sharing socials across the state, actually. A lot of stuff coming out of KI.
Yeah, KI seems bad. That picture of video of like 70-something stingrays was pretty confronting, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It really was. And then... yeah, we'll get into it a little bit later on, but there's been a large number of great white shark sightings in close.
There has.
And some abnormal sightings of other species in close. Angel sharks, one being that sort of typically only found out off the continental shelf in huge depths of water. They've been found washed up on beaches, which is not normal.
Well,
not the norm.
I think I read Faith Coleman commented on one of those angel shark pictures, someone saying how deep they normally are. And she was saying they reckon now that the Algal Bloom is going down to 20 metres below the top of the ocean.
Wow.
So that's a fair way down.
It is.
So no wonder. The other thing we put on social media, Diz, was a bit of a question just this morning, I think it was actually. And I asked a question to our listeners on a story, Diz, and I've said, has the algae turned you off fishing for now? So has it put you off? Interesting answers, Diz. Yes was 52%, no was 48%. So bang on 50-50 basically. I'm not fishing at the moment because of the algae. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
And we also said, would you be eating your catch at the moment? And I did put in brackets saying obviously not if it's clearly, you know, sick or coming out of algae waters, but if it's coming out of waters that looks relatively clean, would you eat it? And I'll just read out a few answers because, again, it's probably 50-50. Yes, nope, not a hope in hell. Apparently the algae is non-toxic to humans. Maybe, no, gross. That was just a few there.
Okay.
So it's probably 50-50 again.
There you go.
So that's interesting, Diz. So a lot of people aren't fishing, but equally a lot are.
Yep, it's not good to see, Rhodey, and we're going to cover this a little bit more in the news segment, and it'll be a bit of a theme throughout. So, Rhodey, without delaying the listeners any longer from hearing the news, let's get into it.
Rhodey and Diz have been searching far and wide to bring you the latest news across all fishing in the state, and we'll give you the rundown on what you need to know.
All right, Diz. Well, we probably should just, as I have a little coughing fit there, Diz, we should start with what everyone's talking about and the algal bloom. And what can we say? It's obviously ongoing. We know that it's a moving beast. So whatever we tell you now could be wrong pretty quickly. But what we would say is it's not getting any better.
No.
And it's now affecting a massive, massive area. I think someone said the size of KI.
Yeah, that has been reported. There's been some images going around from some of the, it sort of almost looks like mold in a way, doesn't it? On top of like growing algal blooms, which is quite concerning. That really foamy water, very often seen on the beaches where there are large numbers of dead fish. I think the leafy sea dragons, all the deaths of them, Rhodey.
Yeah, that picture from Foul Bay, I think it was.
Yeah, that's been quite confronting. Obviously, you don't normally see a lot of them dead. Very rare that you'd find one dead, but there seems to be quite a few. So a lot of very distressing images coming out from across all sorts of different platforms. And one thing we have noticed, and we talked about this on the podcast, is the abnormal number of sightings of great white sharks in shallow, in close. And most recently, unfortunately, the man being attacked at Port Noarlunga. He was going for his daily or routine swim. That seemed to be in quite close. And then it was only a day or so later that there was another sighting of a similar, or could possibly be the same shark in the area. And then even more recent than that, Rhodey, the great white seen in the Warina Marina.
Yes, that was Jared from Southern Fishing Charters, I think, took that video. And that thing probably looked sick too.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Like, it was sort of swimming around in circles a bit. And I know Anthony Rowland, who took a lot of the initial photos of the algal bloom, went and got some video, and he thought it looked unwell as well.
Yeah, and I think it's probably like, I imagine a shark being somewhat trapped in a marina would be a bit distressing, and they'd be doing some unusual behaviour, but the fact that it's in there is concerning.
It is, Diz. And now, interestingly, about a week ago, so Sardi and Purser have put out a 7 or 8 page document with a bit of an update. Probably doesn't tell us a lot that we don't already know. It talks about the temperature being, on average, the water temperature about 2.5 degrees warmer than normal. So that's interesting, and I think everyone's acknowledged that's a big part of this. It talks about the Carina milky moitoi as identified around Flurio Peninsula, but it then does mention that there are a number of, and other people have spoken about this, there are a number of other algae that are sort of coming into play as well. So it's now not just the initial one sort of variety of algae, it's now all these other ones that are starting to bloom. And I think, as Faith explained all those weeks ago, Diz, that once one sort of thrives, it then produces other things that the other ones need to thrive. So it is just a bit of a moving beast, I suppose. And there's all these different photos and satellite images that show it moving across the state. And it is now, taking up a lot of water in the Gulf, and a lot of that water between York Peninsula and Kangaroo Island. And as I say, that'll change in the days to come. So you can find all those pictures online for a bit of an update, Diz.
Yep, nice, Rhodey. That's going to be something I'm sure we'll be covering for a little while. But like you said at the top of the episode, let's hope, as we heard from Faith when we had her on the episode, was we really do need some nasty weather to come in, some big swells, big winds, big seas, cold weather to come in to bust up this algal bloom like it does in most years, and restore normal order, if you like.
Certainly do, Diz. Now let's move on to something a bit more positive.
Yes, well, this is coming out of the Valley Lake at Mount Gambier, so rec fish are keen to stock estuary perch.
Yeah, interesting, Diz. So they've been involved with putting the Murray cod in there, and they've talked about, on this post I'm reading, translocation of trophy-sized estuary perch from the nearby Glenelg River into the Valley Lake. So estuary perch are ravenous and aggressive surface feeders and thrive alongside Murray cod, as what is seen in Victoria.
Yeah.
So they've actually already got a stocking permit. So it's approved for stocking of estuary perch, the Valley Lake. But it's now about working out some of the logistics of catching some of these fish. So Recfish are encouraging you to get in contact and follow their social media if you'd like to be involved in the capture, storage and transport of these estuary perch from the Glenelg River into the Valley Lake at Mount Gambier.
Notice that they didn't send you a message because they know you'd be useless at trying to catch an estuary perch.
Never caught one, mate, but I'm sure I could learn.
Good stuff. All right, Rhodey, this is a story that we don't like covering, and it is an illegal haul of squid. They were caught at Black Point. I think they were fishing around that area. Nasty numbers, man.
157 calamari between two people, well in excess of the 15 per person boat limits.
I was going to say, I didn't know how many were on board, but at best it was like going to be 45 was the max they could take.
So this comes on the back of two recent seizures that were in a cove. All of these people involved will be summoned to face court later, along with facing a maximum penalty of 20 grand each for exceeding the personal daily limits.
Boat seized?
I think the boat gets seized at the moment, and then they see what happens with court.
Fair enough.
And your dad was a witness, or he knew about this somehow, did he?
Well, he saw the boat out there.
Yeah.
So there was a number of pros fishing, as they always do. They fish that area, long sort of Port Julia, She-Oak, up to, just sort of south of Black Point, I suppose. And yeah, quite a few commercial squid fishing people there, and Dad was getting into him. He got his 15 in no time, and off he went. But this boat just didn't seem to leave. He was just on the same drift with the commercials, kept going, and I dare say it, the commercials were probably thinking, who's this moron thinking that they can take as many as they want without paying for a license? And lo and behold, the fisheries officers were back at the ramp and busted him.
Good on them, Diz. We need to see more of that and more of these people getting punished.
Well, we certainly don't ever encourage people doing the wrong thing. We never like covering these stories. Unfortunately, we have to keep the listeners aware of how active our fisheries officers are and the fact that they'll get you.
They will, Diz. Now let's get into our tackle item of the week.
Now it's time for Rhodey and Diz to really show you what it means to have all the gear with a lot of idea as they review a tackle item of the week.
All right, Dizzy, this almost could have been my orange this week.
Okay.
Now, it's a funny one because what's our tackle item of the week? It is the Yeti water bottle.
Oh, okay.
Do you know why this could have been my orange of the week? I'll ask you that.
No. What did
So I had this. I'm actually
to die of dehydration or something.
I'm actually holding this water bottle in my hand. So it's the Yeti. I think it's a Yeti Rambler water bottle. They call them.
Yeah.
1065 milliliters. So it's a good size for a day on the water.
Yeah.
I do actually have one of those big 4 litre ones. If you
tick over a litre, good numbers.
But this is just a good size for a little day trip. You got a few beers, so they you don't want to take up too much water space in your esky, but. They stay bloody cold, these things. They're expensive, but they're well worth the money and they keep your drinks very cold. Like I say, the bigger one's great for a whole day trip. But why could this have been my orange, Diz? Because I lost this water bottle in December.
Oh, where'd you find it?
And what happened? I was whinging. I don't have a water bottle. I need a drink, blah, blah, blah. So Mum and Dad went and got me a water bottle for Christmas, a new one.
Yeah.
Exactly the same, replaced it. Different colour, but basically the same. May we're in now, and I found it last week at work.
Oh, you found it at work?
Yeah, it was in one of the offices, and I was looking at this water bottle, and I was saying, I thought, oh, that looks like mine. And then I went in there a week later, and I looked at it, and I was like, that's still there, and that ding is in the exact same spot as mine. And I said to someone, has this been here for a while? And they said, oh, yeah, it's been there for ages. It's my bloody water bottle. It's been there for 5 months.
So what, have you learnt your lesson?
What?
Writing your name on it?
No, I haven't.
Well, you should, mate.
But,
rookie move.
But you know what? Now I've got 2 Yeti water bottles.
One can go on the boat.
I actually said I might keep one in the boat.
Happy days.
Maybe one in the back of the car.
The only thing about keeping it on the boat is usually what you'll do is you'll drink it while you're on the boat.
Then you won't fill it up.
That's always the risk. We obviously keep the right amount of water, fresh water, on our boat, but
yeah, but that's more there for an emergency
that's there
circumstance.
For an emergency. That's exactly right.
But the Yeti water bottle, they are very good at keeping your water icy cold. And I'll give you a little. We don't have a hack segment. We should have a hack segment, Diz.
Oh, this is going to be that you should get down to Christie's Beach Marine and buy it.
Could be, but particularly the big one, like the 4 litre sort of gallon jug, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got one of them. So what do you do with that? You fill it with about 2 inches of water.
Put it in the bottom.
Put it in the freezer.
Yeah,
and then you've got like a disc of frozen water, and that keeps your water cold for days. So you just got to be organised a day before, and you got to get a couple of inches of water, get it cold, and you will have so much water so cold forever, Diz.
Wow, that's a great hack by you. Not a bad tackle item. Don't mind it.
Good news story too, finding my water bottle.
Yeah, that is true. All right, Rody, well, we should move on now and get the absolute guru, as we said at the top of the episode. It is, of course, Josh from Shimano. Let's get him on the line.
Now it's time to get our guest on the line. We'll ask them the all-important 5 questions, then chat all things fishing in SA.
All right, Diz, we are joined here today by Josh Carpenter, the product manager at Shimano, and a great man, a great fisherman. Josh, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys? Good to be with you.
Yeah, awesome, mate. Now, we are 2 very jealous people of your role, mate. You get to have full access to the catalogue at Shimano, and you've been very good to us in supporting us with a bit of gear. We can't thank you enough, and we're looking forward to chatting all things Shimano and fishing with you this evening, mate. You revved up?
Yep, I'm looking to get nice and technical with you boys.
Beautiful. Now we're going to start with our 5 questions before we get into the Shimano specifics. So we'll rip through these and get into the good stuff. Now, first off, tell us about your best fish.
My best fish, I guess it's one of those things, do you talk about the biggest or do you talk about the best? But for me, I'd have to say the best, most memorable. I got into trout fishing 15 years ago and chasing spawn run browns at Yukonbean. And probably after about 5-6 years, I sort of worked it out a little bit, and I got to the point where I was confident with doing it by myself. And I kind of knew that like that rain hits, it pushes the fish up. And those first ones that go up, they're really fresh out of the lake. They tend to be bigger. They tend to be in better condition. And I got one just after like Anzac Day, so the weekend after. We climbed really far up in the bushes, and I caught a brown trout that was super long. But not only that, it was absolutely the most beautiful, like wild brown trout I'd ever seen. And beautiful spots all over it. One of the biggest I'd ever caught. And lucky for me, I had like my friend there who was an excellent photographer. And some of the best pictures I've got of myself holding a fish are of that brown trout. So that's the most memorable one for me. That'd probably be my best.
You know, one thing that I've caught a few brown trout way back in the day, and they're not the biggest. They're probably not the hardest pulling fish, but my God, they take good photos, brown trout.
Oh, yes. And when you get a really, really particularly pretty one, like they're unbelievable looking.
Yeah, epic, mate. Now, let's tell us your favourite thing about fishing.
Well, the favourite thing about fishing, and I guess it's the reason that we all come back to it, my favourite thing is it is just a big puzzle. You're never going to solve the puzzle, and there's always something new. Like, you're never going to say, I won fishing. Like, it doesn't happen. Whatever you know, whatever you do, there's always the next thing. It's always fresh. There's always new things happening, and there's always something else to learn. Like if you're the world's best expert on one species of fish out of one boat ramp, well, you go 2 suburbs over, and you might have to learn it all again. So that's my favorite thing about fishing is it's a never-ending well to go back to. Like you could do it for a lifetime.
Yeah, that's a great call. I love that analogy. And if I just might throw one back at you, I feel like my fishing at time is one of those 10,000 piece puzzles, all of the same color, just sitting on a bench, and I don't know how to start.
Yeah. Well, the funny little story that I tend to tell people is I get through, say, December, January, February, March, and I feel like I am so on this. I am so good at this. I am like the absolute best fish. And then I hit about April or May, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't know how to do this. And you can be so humbled as soon as you think you've got it. It's gone. And it's a good feeling. Like if you just knew what was going to happen every time, we wouldn't come back to it as much. I don't think.
Very good. Now, that's one of the better answers we've had there, I reckon. And it was interesting you said master like the fish at one boat ramp and all that. We'd like to just master that before we worry about any other suburbs.
Yeah, but you could spend a lifetime doing that, and then 100 k's up the road, it's a different story. Different time of year, they line up different. So there's always something new, even if it was the same species of fish trying the same technique, it would be different.
Very good. Now, Josh, what is your first fishing memory, or what got you into it?
Well, the funny thing is, I've told this story before, is that I don't actually have a memory of it. I have a little photo of this white-haired kid with a big smile on his face holding this little fish up, and in my mother's handwriting on the back, it says, Josh loves to fish, 1979.
Oh, so good.
So I would have been 3 years old, and there's just this, like I say, this kid with a big smile on his face, and I'm pretty sure it was in America, and it was a yellow perch. So it'd be like a redfin, basically, but there's just a big smile on my face. So, yeah, that's that's one of my favourite things. But what got me into fishing was, like many people, it was my father. We used to go away on Christmas holidays, go away for 4 weeks, and Dad used to love going out and catching whiting. Dad was a whiting fisherman for many years, and no matter which one of us kids went with him, he went every single day of the holidays for that 4 weeks and would just catch as many whiting as he could, feed the family. And I'd go some days, my brother and I would go some days, all three of us, or one, but Dad would always go. So that was kind of like my first memories of fishing. But yeah, that's what got me into it, is like many people, my father.
Yeah, epic. Sounds good. Now, mate, tell us your favourite sort of fishing, and why is it chasing the brown trout?
Well, it's funny. For many years, I was like, "Oh, what do you call the thing that I'm into?" And working at a Japanese company, they asked me the same thing, and I started to describe it, and they're like, "Oh, yes, technical fishing." And I was like, I'd never heard that term. Call it light tackle, call it whatever you want. I'm not necessarily out there chasing the biggest of fish, but I like that challenge. So trout fit into that. Like I look at a piece of water and I'm like, okay, the current is coming around the corner that way, and okay, it should be lined up right there. Or whether it's brim or yellow belly, or so it's fishing that involves like thought about like how it should be lining up and what should happen. So the Japanese have a term for it, technical fishing, and that's what I enjoy. And then kind of whatever species will fit into that.
Very good. So it's basically the opposite of shooting fish in a barrel. You like a challenge.
I do. I like solving the challenge. I think that's what I enjoy the most.
Very good. Now, Josh, last one before we get into the Shimano stuff. Tell us your funniest fishing story, or the one that got away.
Well, it's
I love it when they laugh before they tell the story.
It's funny and got away. So when I was younger, I actually backpacked around for a very long time, and at the time I had a fly rod strapped to my backpack, and we went to Belize, and we were there for 5 days and just backpacking with a friend. Got off the water taxi that took us to this little island, and as I walked off, I was like, those are bonefish. There's bonefish all everywhere, just tails out of the water eating. And I spent 5 days trying to catch bonefish on a fly rod, and I hooked, I think, about 10 or 12. Did not land a single one. I've still never put my hands on a bonefish. And anything that could go wrong did go wrong. It was one of those ones where I was standing on a dock, saw one behind me over the shoulder, hooked up, line got caught in between two slats in the dock, boom, snapped off. Back and forth, another one, and then it took one little last run and hit the one little mangrove root, cut off. And it was just, it was that comedy of errors that just over 5 days and left with my, head in my hands hanging. So I'm still chasing them.
Well, that's a good thing because that gives you an excuse to keep fishing then, Josh.
Yes, well, I've actually got a trip planned for early next year to go chase them. So maybe I'll get into them then.
Beautiful. Now, Josh, you are the product manager at Shimano. It is a job that many fishermen would be envious of. Tell us about your career, your job, how you got to where you are today, and what your sort of day-to-day role is.
So I got I was in the alcohol industry for 15 years, and whether it was working in bars, working for companies like wholesalers, and people are going to cringe at this, but I didn't actually enjoy working in the booze industry that much. I'm not a huge drinker.
Yeah.
And I thought, I've got to get out of it. I've got to get started in fishing. And I started just writing for magazines. I started doing just helping out at competitions, and just got to get known around the scene or the industry. Finally sort of worked my way in. I started servicing fishing reels. So I was interested in, again, that technical little detail-oriented thing, which was pulling apart reels and fixing them up, putting them back together. So I did that for a very long time, which it gave me a good grounding of the technical part behind the reels themselves. And then I actually worked my way up to sponsorship and events coordinator, which is where I met you guys. And then an opening came up for product manager, and I thought, yep, this is, what I've wanted to do my whole life. And luckily for me, Shimano is, 10 minutes from my front door. So it's perfect. I love it, and I've really enjoyed it. It's an excellent job, and it looks very glitz and glam, and it sounds great. But day to day, you'd be surprised how many sort of mundane tasks there are. There's still a fair few Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoints. It's a corporate job at the end of the day, but you're dealing with fishing gear. But I've learned a heap of stuff I did not know about the industry, even in the time I've been in this role. So no, I really love it, and it's a great job.
Just before we get into some of the products, which is what we really want to ask you about, do you find, I'm sure in your role you must meet some amazing fishermen, some people that have achieved amazing things, gurus in what they do. Do you find you pick up a lot and learn a lot through your role?
Definitely. You sort of become a little bit of a nexus of people are chatting to you, they were doing this, and somebody else is chatting to you and they were doing that, and you kind of put it all together. So yes, I have contact with some of the people that I grew up with that were legends to me. I remember as a kid reading magazines and reading Steve Starling articles. Well, now I sort of will email back and forth with Steve, if we're doing something with squidgy, let's say, or we're doing something with rods, or I'll be talking with him on one thing, and then we'll have barra guys up north, we'll have tuna guys down south, and you pick up little bits here and there. And it definitely does make you a better fisherman. Just the insights, and you've probably met them, and you sat down and you talk at the boat ramp, and they give you that one little nugget and makes you think I never thought of it like that, and you go out and you do it the next time. But they might be picking up one off you. So yes, it is very good for that. I do think it makes you a better angler, just talking about it, being immersed in it all day. I'm sure that you guys having a podcast, same thing. You'll pick up a little tidbit every single time you do a podcast that'll make you think.
Yeah, it's a great call. It's piecing together that puzzle you mentioned earlier, I reckon, mate. That's really good. We love that, and we certainly do get a lot out of the different people that we have on the podcast. No matter what they're doing, they've all got a story in one way or another, or a tip they're willing to share, and that's been something that's been great being involved in not only this, but just in the rec fishing community in general. That generally speaking, everyone's happy to give you a tip here and there. You don't push the friendship and ask them for their GPS marks, but you can get a few tips here and there, which we love.
Yeah, yep, for sure.
Righto, Josh, let's get into the technical side of things. We have a lovely Ultegra sitting in front of us. Tell us all about it.
So Ultegra is actually what we would class as the entry level to the top end of the reel. So you've obviously got Stella up there with the crown on it, and then you work your way down. And Ultegra actually sits just under Stratic. So it's one of those, it's an affordable reel that has all the technologies that you need. Like I learned a very long time ago that it's nice having the blingy, expensive, super duper gear is nice, but at the end of the day, your fishing rods, your fishing reels, your fishing line, they're tools that need to do a job. And I think Ultegra, for the money that you're paying for them, are excellent reels. They're right up there with Stratic. They've kind of flown under the radar. You've got that big, that big name in Stratic, but Ultegra is right there next to it. There's only sort of a couple of little teeny technologies that are different, and a couple of bearings less. It is an amazing reel, a good looking one too. So we always talk about the 5 big technologies that were passed down from Stella FK. Well, Ultegra actually has 3 of those, and I would all argue like one of the more important ones just being that little anti-twist fin. So if you look just under the bail arm there's a little plastic fin, and it was one of those things that at first I was like, it's a bit of a throwaway, not super important thing. And then somebody in the industry said to me, you know what, I've been using a reel with that anti-twist fin now for like 12 months. And he's like, I think that's like the biggest thing you put on there, because I notice the difference every single time I'm fishing. That fin catches the line, it lays the line on there perfect. If I'm fishing soft plastics, I don't get that little loose loop. And then my next cast, I get a wind knot, and I'm picking a wind knot out, and I don't like it. So he said, yep, I didn't rate it at first. And then I realized how important it is, because it makes a difference to every minute I'm on the water fishing. So something from there, like the Infinity Cross gears, so that's where they've made the gear teeth much larger, and the points at which the gear and pinion mesh, like there's a bigger surface area, and that means the gears are going to last even longer. So let's say the gears were going to last 10 years on the previous model, they're going to last 15 years this time. So like, whilst that's a really important technology, it's not as useful as like that anti-twist fin. And then you've got stuff like Infinity Drive, which is also on the Ultegra, and that's the way they're sort of spaced the pinion and the main shaft. It's just one of those things where when you're under load, you're just going to have easier winding power. It's not under less torque when it's under pressure. So it has 3 of those really big technologies from the Stella FK, and it's in a reel that's $289 in the shop. It's got features that are seen on $1,200 reels. So I think they're amazing value for money, and they're good looking. I think for most of the fishers out there, like that's what they want. They want a good reel that's going to perform the task, and it's great that it looks good as well.
Yes, it certainly looks good, and I'm holding it in my hand now, and I hadn't even noticed that fin till you mention it, but now you say it looks like it'll work, it makes sense. And I think the amazing thing, you talk about the price, like obviously Stellas and those top-end reels have always been very high quality and last forever and all that sort of stuff, but you're now just getting such a good product for a cheap price, which I think is great for your everyday angler who fishes, once a month or in the school holidays or whatever it is. It's making it so much more affordable.
Most people. That's most people. I even when I was back in the servicing days, I used to liken cars and fishing reels. Like, they do have a lot of similarities. We'll probably talk about servicing things later, and I'll use the car analogy again. But the Stella is your Ferrari, your Bugatti. It's an absolutely beautiful piece of engineering. It's a Formula One car. Like, we all aspire to have that thing. But at the end of the day, the Hilux is pretty damn good. Like, you own and most people, Hilux or a Ford Ranger, that kind of car that everyone can get into, does the job. It's super comfortable. It's super reliable. That's what the Ultegra is, in my mind anyway. Like, one day I'll own a Ferrari.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I'm happy in my Hilux.
Absolutely. I love that. Now, since you mentioned the servicing, let's talk about the Stella servicing plan, mate. We are really keen to hear about this. It's a very exciting announcement that you've made there at Shimano, and something which I'm sure has got all the fishos out there really excited.
Well, this is the point at which I have to tell you, I've explained that I'm a light tackle fisherman, and I understand that you like heavier tackle guys. Like, that is where the Stella is like super important. So the Stella SW that's just come out, you're chasing those barrels down there. You really do need like all the bells and whistles, especially the ones on the new Stella SWD, the bigger drag, more drag pressure, the way they've set it with the heat sink to work as well. And then just the technologies that are in that are made for those really big extended fights with, fish like the big barrels. But what we did do is say, okay, we think that our service department and our after sales service is so good at Shimano that we're going to offer 3 years free servicing on Stella reels. Now, what that means is you go into your retailer in Australia, you buy a new Stella SWD, and every year for 3 years, you take it back to where you bought it. They will send it in no charge. Our service department will service it for no charge. They'll give you a report on what they did to it, and they'll send it back to you, no charge. 12 months later, send it in, you get that service, you send it back, no charge. 3rd year, send it back again, same thing, service. That means everything. If it needs, a couple of line roller bearings, if it needs a body seal, they're going to look after it for 3 years, every year on the year, charge you $0. And we kind of worked it out that that's probably $500 extra value. So when you go in to look at that Stella, like, just imagine there's basically a $500, free servicing plan. There's no other way to put it. Like, and there's nobody else in the industry, I think, that can offer that. Simply, we've just got a good team. We've got the parts. We back ourselves to make it happen.
Yeah, certainly that, and your 10-year warranty tells us that you're pretty confident that the product's good, doesn't it?
Yeah, that has been a big one for a long time. When I did some retail work, I saw many people walk in and say, no, get the Stella. They've got 10-year warranty. So yeah, that's how much we back up what we make.
Very good. Now, Josh, you mentioned the big barrel tuna that are probably, rocking up in the South Australian waters. Well, they're already down at Port Mac, and you'd think they'll turn up at... here we go.
We were talking about, like, do you get those little tidbits of information? I think it was actually this morning. Sorry. Maybe if we put, like, if I take too long to find this email, we can pause. But I did see they were catching 100 to 130 kilo ones out of Portland.
Yes.
So they're not far away from you.
Yeah, no, they've got them in I think Tyson, a charter bloke, want to fish charters down at Port MacDonald. He's got, I think, a couple this week in the Port MacDonald tuna comps, the sports fishing comp, I think it is down there. So they've definitely hit that southeast part of the state, and we're expecting them to rock up sort of off Marion Bay and Port Lincoln in the next few months, and we're keen to get into them. We want to get a sort of a barrel tuna rod. We're looking at an overhead. We're probably getting a Tiagra reel, and we want a really good rod to go with it. We wanted to ask you, as the expert, the pros and cons of getting rollers versus guides, and also a bent versus a straight butt rod for that sort of really big tuna.
Okay, so to start with the rollers versus runners, and I'm going to take a bit of a middle road on this and say it's horses for courses, depending upon what kind of angler you are. If you are one of those fastidious guys that looks after your boat and you wash it down every time and you flush the motor and you do everything, then like roller tips are going to be roller everything will be fine. If you're the kind of person that, you go home, you flush your boat, you don't really wash your stuff, I would go runners. So depending upon your level of care, obviously a good, well-working roller is probably going to be better than runners. But having said that, it depends on how heavy you're fishing, depends on how big the fish are going to be, it depends on so many things. And that goes for straight butt versus bent butt as well. Obviously, one's going to be better for fighting the fish than the other, but then, there's harnesses. There are a lot of different things that go into that choice. And it can be, what is going to be easiest most of the time, and what is going to be optimal when I do hook that 130 kegger. So yeah, they're the kind of things. So if you give me a situation, you think, like what would be your average day on the water and your average thought when you thought you were going out? Like, yep, they're out there. What decisions do you think need to be made, like rod wise? Are you fishing 15, 24? Are you guys fishing braid with mono top shot? Are you fishing mono straight through? How are you guys actually going out there and doing it?
Well, this is genuinely all the gear but no idea here, and we are now. This will be our first year getting out and getting amongst the barrels, hopefully in our own boat. We've tried a couple of times with Tyson, been down to the southeast when they've been on, but unfortunately we haven't been able to hook one yet. So we're looking for any of those tips and tricks so that we can hopefully get into one on our boat and our gear this year.
All right. Well, I would say Tiagra, Talica. Obviously, it's one of the two choices. Tiagra being, it hasn't changed in 20 years because it's absolutely the most bulletproof thing you're ever going to use. Second choice is your Talica, has higher speed, both two-speed reels. Talicas have higher speed retrieves, which can be good for different situations. I'd probably go with the Tiagra, absolutely bulletproof, love them. My rod choice, I would say for you guys, go the Speedmaster Game, either 15, there's a 24 kilo bent butt and there's a 24 kilo like straight. Depending upon what you think, bent butts are obviously going to be better if you really think you are going to catch a huge fish and then you're going to be stand up fighting that thing for a long period. If you just want to slap a gimbal on, it's going to be easier in a straight butt, but then the actual trolling part can be, so there's there's trade-offs for everything. Like if you were 95% confident you're going to go out and hook a massive fish today, then full harness, bent butt, 24, 37 kilo with a 50 wide. You've got your, Power Pro Holloway, so you've got your mono top shotted over the top. If you want to go out there and catch a couple of fish, then probably, a Speedmaster Game, full runner, 15, would be better. That might be undergunned down there, depending upon how big they are. But if I can use another analogy, if you go out there hunting with an elephant gun and you don't see elephants, you're going to blow away whatever. So if you go out there with 37 kilo bent butt harnesses and you catch 30, 40, 50 kilo fish, it's going to take away from the fun. So you want to make that story for yourself. I'd probably go somewhere in the middle, get a 24 kilo straight butt, either that braid with the mono top shot, or you can use straight through mono. That still works just fine. That would be my suggestion. And you could probably pick up more setups. So I don't know if you guys run 2 or 4 or how many you're running, like how big a boat you're out of. But you're going to pick up you can be able to pick up multiple setups in that Speedmaster game rod. And then, like I said, Tiagras are bulletproof. You cannot go wrong with them.
Beautiful, Josh. I think you've absolutely nailed it, and I think there'd be a lot of people across South Australia. The barrels are quite new to this state. They're getting bigger and bigger every year, so I think a lot of people will take a lot of great information out of that. So thank you for that comprehensive
No worries at all.
overview.
And look, keep having this conversation with other people. They'll probably have different opinions. Like there will be people down there that'll say, "Nah, you need like this and this and this and this." And I know that try and get like some Victorians, because I know the Victorians are really sort of cutting edge. I'll give you a little bit of behind the scenes. We may actually be selling bent butts as a separate spare part. So you might be able to buy a straight butt, like a rod that is a straight butt, and you say, right, I have the need for a bent butt today, and you will have a bent butt in your boat. So you unscrew the blade, you put the bent butt in, away you go. You didn't hear that from me? Like, secret. Don't tell everyone that one. But yes, that is something that we've picked up from Victoria is guys, especially when they're trolling with straight butts like they're outriggers. So they're in smaller tinnies, but they've set them up so they can put the straight butt out. And the bent butt really doesn't do that. But then they want to fight the big barrels. So, talk to those anglers, the pros that are chasing, the comp guys, the Victorians, and you will get a lot of tips off them of what to do, how to do it, the best, the ways to fight them. Like if you get a real big one, I know it's as much about boat control as it is about rod and reel. Like the captain does half the job. He's just not doing the hard winding part.
Yeah, epic. Love that, Josh. Thank you very much. We are looking forward to getting stuck into them now, mate. Before we let you go, you've been very generous with your time and getting some of the insights has been fantastic. We are keen to hear from you about some of those lovely new jigs that Shimano have brought out recently. They must have been flying off the shelf.
Yeah, well, look, the one thing about Shimano lures is they are absolutely beautiful. I've learned that fishing in Japan is a lot harder than fishing in Australia or New Zealand. Like we have excellent fishing over here. So what they do with like Shimano lures is they are so meticulous in their design, the finish, everything about that lure, because they are trying to maximize every opportunity. Like when they go out on the water, they want to make sure that absolutely everything is perfect with that lure. So you will find that Shimano lures are like some of the most beautiful you'll ever see. So there were 3 jigs that we had come out. There was the Colt Sniper Wonderfall, there was the Wingfall, and there was the O-Ship Pebble Stick. Pebble Stick obviously being great for kings. I've heard some rumours there's a couple of kings. I know they've been getting a fair way over Victoria. Are you still getting big kings over there as well?
I think they've probably slowed down a little bit. They had a pretty good run sort of the end of last year, but probably a bit less at the moment. Diz, is that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so. But
maybe still getting them over the Eyre Peninsula, but less so everywhere else.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, O-Ship Pebble, it's going to maximize like the scale boost. So that's like a little tiny scale pattern they have on them. Pick one. Go into your local tackle store, pick them up. Like have a good hard look at the differences in the shape, the finish, the scale, all sorts of stuff like that. They really are very detail oriented. There's some of the most beautiful jigs out there on the market for sure.
Yeah, I reckon you're going to see plenty of reports of kingfish caught on them, and I reckon some of the smaller ones, the wingfall, you're going to get plenty of nanagai. That'd be my tip.
Oh yeah. I always forget about the bottom fish and the nanagai over there. I did see young McHenry pulled
Yeah,
some
Ned.
up the other day.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, he does pretty well in the Nana guy, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's another good SA boy, isn't he?
He
Although
is. There's a few of us down here, hopefully, representing South Australia. And now, Josh, it's been great to chat to you. You've been very generous with your time and your information on all the gear we should be looking at, and little tidbit of secret information at the end there as well.
Shh, don't tell anyone. Thanks, guys. It's been great to talk to you.
Cheers, Josh. Speak to you soon, mate.
Have a good one.
Geez, that was great to get some insights from Josh about the latest and greatest from Shimano, and hear a bit about what he gets up to in his part of the world fishing, Rody.
Yeah, Diz, he's a bit of a guru, really, and probably a bit embarrassing for us. He's living over there in Sydney, and he still tells us how to catch our South Australian barrels too, doesn't he?
Yeah, good call. Good call. Love that, Rody. All right, mate, let's get into the fishing report. Got a few juicy items.
Rody and Diz have been out on the water to bring you the news about where they're biting. Now it's time for the fishing report.
Wowee, Rody. This first one is not very juicy because I didn't catch a single thing over on Yorks.
I was about to say, you just said, this is going to be a juicy tackle report. I don't know whether you listened to your own lemon saying no one's catching anything.
It was howling, though. It was windy.
Anyway, tell us this. So what'd you do? What did you target? What did you not catch?
We didn't really target much, to be honest. We got out for a little while with Ned on the boat. We tried to catch some squid, and as I said, it was absolutely blowing. So it wasn't really suitable for drifting because even with a drift anchor out or a sea anchor out, it was just we were still flying along. So we sort of anchored up for a little while, flicked a few lures around. But Ned got sick of that before too long, and it was time to head back in. And then the day after that, it was a little bit calmer in the morning, so we went to try and catch some whiting, but couldn't find them. Could not find them.
So nothing.
Got a handful of red mullets, all went back, but that was about it.
Average.
Yeah, and usually where the red mullets are, onto the tings, but no joy.
And you were telling us the water wasn't a great colour.
No.
So it could have been algae related.
Well, I don't know. It was windy the day before, and, the water gets churned up, but the dead skates and all those cuddle bones located is noting to me that the Algal Bloom is certainly up the Gulf.
Yeah, nice. Well, not nice, but yeah, not nice.
Yeah, not nice at all. Rody, Fluorio charters have moved to Portland. They're targeting the barrels.
And I think Want to Fish have too.
Yes.
So what does that tell you? The two of the best charter operators running out of Port Mac have moved to Portland. So that is clearly where the barrels have ended up.
Be interesting if they head across to Port Mac, won't it, Rody?
It certainly will, Diz, and I've also heard good things. Mate of ours, Hazy, hooked one but didn't land at a Port Fairy. And I think Warrnambool ramp, they've also been getting them out of there, Diz. So they are further east over in Victoria at the moment. So it'll be very, very interesting whether they do cross the border, come back to Port Mac. I'm sure they will at some point, but right at the moment, the action seems to be just across the border, Diz.
Yes, good call, Rody. And there's been a lot of action, that's for sure. When the weather's played the game, people have been out there chasing them, and there's been quite a few reports of them. So it'll be interesting to see whether they come to some of those other spots where we've said that they've appeared in years gone by, and we'll just have to wait and see about that. But great to see some people getting stuck into the big fish.
All right, Diz, this is a random one I have for you.
Go on then.
Snotty trevally. What do you know about him?
Oh, not a lot about the snotty trevs.
Ever caught one?
No, never at all. Have they been located somewhere
They've
unique?
been located in the Port River in good numbers, apparently. Wow. So they're otherwise known as the blue werehou. Warehou. Is that how you say it? Werehou?
I don't know, mate. You're telling the story.
Generally come from Tasmania. They grow up to 7 kilos, I'm reading here on fishing.tas.gov. And they're in the Port River, Diz, for whatever reason. So they're a dark blue top half and like a silvery white down the bottom half with some sort of spots along the back. The reason, do you know why they're called the snotty trevally, Diz?
No, do they breathe out snot?
They have a mucus film covering their bodies, hence the name snotties. So I suppose when you handle them, you get gross.
Yeah, okay.
And it says here, a very good eating fish when fresh, although there is some deterioration of flesh when stored frozen for extended periods. Yeah. So, Diz, that was from Ray and Ann's, I think, shared that one. And I also think someone else shared one on one of those fishing pages from, I want to say, Granite Island, catching a snotty trevally. And I think that was more of a, what is this species? And I think a few people had said it was a juvenile Samson fish. And then a couple of knowledgeable sorts jumped on and said, nah, boys, that's a snotty trevally. Wow. So, yeah, Diz, and they're going well in the Port River. And do you know what else was going well in the Port River? I also saw this on the Ray and Ann's page, Diz. Someone caught a nanagai in the Port River.
No way.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't.
No, well, it's true. I saw the picture. Uh-huh. One of their staff members, Jimmy James, caught a nanagai in the Port River. Not a massive one, but it's still a nanagai in the Port River.
So we're all sure that that's legit?
Well, the photo's in the Port River.
Wow. Amazing.
So that's the Port River's the place to be because there's no fish anywhere else. From what I hear, no one's catching anything.
I was going to say, that sounds like just a great weekend out, just getting stuck into the nannies in the Port River.
And the snotty trevally.
And the snotties.
Maybe
nice.
Bring a pair of gloves, you get gross hands off those snotties.
Oh, yeah, good call, good call. All right, Roddy, well, there's a few nuggets of gold there in that fishing report and a couple of not so great fishing report numbers in there.
Well, it was not great. I thought the snotty trevally was good.
Well,
or are you talking about your donuts?
Yeah, not catching.
Yeah, don't drag me down with you, mate.
Great. Anyway, Roddy, where can the listeners find us? That was a good episode.
Dizzy, we're all over your Facebook and your Instagram, your Spotify, your Apple Music, wherever you get your not your photos, your podcast from.
Yep, all your photos.
And send us a photo.
Send us a photo.
You know what else you can
send us?
A voice memo.
Gosh, what are we going to do?
All right, another great episode, Diz, if I do say so myself. Thank you to Josh from Shimano for coming on and sharing all his knowledge on Shimano and the tackle industry.
Yep.
Looking forward to chatting to you in a couple of weeks, Diz.
All right, see you guys.
Rhodey and Diz hope you enjoyed today's episode of All the Gear But No Idea. Keep up to date by liking and sharing us on Facebook and Instagram. And you can subscribe on all the major podcast platforms. Until next time, good luck fishing.